satisfy the international community, but effectively nothing has been done so far. So I would like that if some code is to be mentioned, that who is going to be the power behind, that is agitating powers to do that.
Can I get 3 questions then?
My question is that in your talk you have mentioned out-of-box thinking solution for Kashmir, as I have understood. There was an out-of-box solution proposal in Pervez Musharraf's period, and that was according to the ex-foreign minister that they have reached near the solution of Kashmir problem, as it was stated in one of his statements. This I would like that. Would you like to comment on that? What was their solution, and whether we can treat that proposal as out-of-box solution? And my second question is second part is to strengthen by the element of militancy in the Kashmir freedom struggle. Whether it has any progressive or it has any retrogressive effect on the Kashmiri freedom movement. This is my question. Thank you, sir.
ताल्लुक नहीं होता। मसलन 1977 में जो इलेक्शन हुए थे उसमें शेख अब्दुल्ला ने एक एजेंडा दिया था 3 पॉइंट्स का। नंबर 1 कि ये इलेक्शन कश्मीरियों की तरफ से रायशुमारी के हक में एक राय गिरदाने जाएंगे, और नंबर 2 पिंडी का रास्ता खोल दिया जाएगा, और नंबर 3 कश्मीरियों को अंदरूनी खुदमुख्तारी फौरी तौर पर दे दी जाएगी। और इस एजेंडे के ऊपर 97% उन्होंने वोट लिए। यहाँ तक कि लद्दाख में जो निर्मा बुद्धू थे, उन्होंने इन्हीं के इसी एजेंडे के ऊपर इनकी पार्टी के साथ शामिल होकर इलेक्शन लड़ा, वो भी जीत गए, स्वाय जमात इस्लामी की एक सीट के जो सोपुर की हमेशा से होती है। और उस वक्त हमें चाहिए था कि हम इसको रजिस्टर करते UN में कि इसको रायशुमारी के हक में कश्मीरियों की राय को आखिरी समझा जाए और उसके ऊपर अमल दरामद किया जाए। और दूसरी दफ़ा एक और मौका आया जब हमारे बेटों ने श्रीनगर से वैली के मुख्तलिफ हिस्सों से, जम्मू से नंगे पाँव ये पहाड़ अबूर किए, बर्फानी पहाड़, और 16 से लेकर 20-25 साल तक के बच्चों ने इस सीज़फायर लाइन को रोड डाला। और इंडियन इतने मकार थे कि उन्होंने उनको आने दिया। 80,000 तो शोहदा है, और जो आए थे उनका तो कोई नंबर ही नहीं है कि कितने आए और कितने वापस गए। और उन्होंने इस सीज़फायर लाइन को रोड डाला और एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग मैसेज दिया दुनिया को कि ये दोनों खिते एक हैं और हम आज़ादी चाहते हैं। हमने वो मौका भी गंवा दिया। हमें चाहिए था कि उन बच्चों को यहाँ रोकते, उनके माँ बाप। तो ये मेरा ये सवाल है कि हमें इस तरह के मौके क्यों ज़ाया करते हैं?
Without going into details, I am sure that people who know, they know it. There are some efforts being made, even today when I am talking to you, by some NGOs, but don't underestimate the importance of NGOs. Carter Presidential Center is also an NGO. If Carter does not testify the election is fair, it is not fair. Nelson Mandela is also an NGO. So there are some NGOs, I don't want to mention the particular NGO or NGOs, but there are some NGOs who are sometimes more important than the capitals. So they are in the process of taking an initiative of the same kind, that all the shades of opinion must be brought to one point. The question is this: we met here in Islamabad in Pagwash. Syed Gillani was invited, he could not make it. And Shabir Saab was invited, he could not make it. So we have to make sure that, although Mian Farooq, he had the passport that time, but he could not make it. So we have to make sure that all place, as I told you, all the shades of opinion, until they are really there, and particularly these people of resistance. Because if Umar Abdullah is there, Mahbooba Mufti is there, they have to be there. Dr. Karan Singh is there, he has to be there. But you have to really invite the people of resistance. So that's why we as Kashmiris, from either side of the ceasefire line, we should really try to facilitate. How can we facilitate? How can we help? We don't know. But we should really feel that this kind of intra-Kashmiri dialogue is a possibility. Some people are saying, what about without passport? Because we as Kashmiris from Srinagar, we can go to Nepal. But those are logistics. But the question is, there are people who really would like to see this kind of intra-Kashmiri dialogue. Out of box, I did not mention out of box. I mentioned the flexibility. The out of box is not acceptable to the Kashmiri people, not because I am saying it. There have been 3 surveys in Kashmir, one by Outlook in 2004, one by Hindustan Times and CNN IBN in 2007, one last year by Chetna. So they don't want this out of box the way President Musharraf has presented it. Because in out of box, you as a Kashmiri is getting nothing except you are the part of Pakistan and I am the part of India. But I am not saying that we don't need to be the part of India. I am not saying that we don't need to be the part of Pakistan. But it has to be decided by the Kashmiri people. Fortunately or unfortunately, today when I am talking to you, we don't have a leader like Sheikh Abdullah, Lion of Kashmir. He had 2 agreements with the founding Prime Minister of India in 1952. He had another agreement with Indira Gandhi in 1975, but we are still suffering. So they may make a deal with Syed Gillani. That's not important. That is a possibility. They can make a deal with one of the leaders. But the question is Syed Gillani going to be able to sell it to the people of Kashmir? I am telling you, again, unfortunately, I have not been to Kashmir, but I am meeting with the people that Musharraf formula is going to be rejected as long as it is a self-governance within Indian constitution and Pakistani constitution. Yes, Sheikh Abdullah had elections in Kashmir. We the people of Kashmir are very weak, but God has really given us the principles. The principle of the issue of Kashmir, they are speaking for the people of Kashmir. This is a very important question. Do you know there are 2 resolutions of the United Nations Security Council? Resolution number 91 of 1953, resolution number 122 of 1957 of the Security Council, that any election conducted by the Constituent Assembly of State of Jammu and Kashmir is not going to be a substitute for the referendum. So it's a different debate. We have a genius and living encyclopedia of Kashmir, Ambassador Yusuf Bas. He's from Srinagar, he has been to Muzaffarabad and Pakistan, and he's now in New York. He said there has to be referendum. But what are the logistical issues of referendum? We can discuss that. It doesn't need to be a national referendum. National referendum means all the people of Ladakh, Valley, Jammu, Azad Kashmir, Gilgit, Baltistan, they will have 1 vote. He said it can be regional. In fact, it was Dixon plan. It can be regional. But I am saying it can be something else. Satisab can come up with something else. But the question is that as long as people of Kashmir are not a part of the process, I am telling you, after listening and meeting with the Kashmiris, no leader, not only that in their individual capacity, but if you put them together, Yasir Malik, Shafir Ahmad Shah, Syed Gillani, Miraj Ahmad Farooq, even if they will have a compromise with India or with Pakistan, they cannot really sell it to the Kashmiri people. So that's why the Kashmiri people should be the part of the negotiation. In out of the box, we were not a part of the negotiation. The only meeting we had, Dr. Siddiq Wahid was there, we met with Musharraf. But that was the negotiation. So they had to be officially invited, and officially the Kashmiri leadership should be the part of the negotiation. Then alone there is a legitimacy, and then alone there is a possibility that you or someone else who is the leader of people of Kashmir, he can sell it to the people of Kashmir.
You seem to have high hopes with the intra-Kashmir dialogue, and I do agree that this should happen. This would be a sincere effort toward that, towards solution of the problem. But let's assume that there is an intra-Kashmir dialogue, and at the end there is a consensus on 3 possible solutions. Now, my question is, what would happen if all the 3 solutions identified by the Kashmiri leadership from all parts are thrown out to the dustbin by some non-indigenous actors? Thank you very much.
Out of box, I I'm not a native speaker of English, but I think it's grammatically wrong, so Mr. Musharraf might have syntactically misunderstood Kashmir problem altogether. Second, you mentioned about Mr. Holbrook's wife's interview, but I don't think that would constitute a valid observation. We kind of tend to dismiss such things as pillow talk. Just two observations, but now coming back to the question, you mentioned flexibility, which is very important, but I think your understanding is still locked in Cold War mentality of when we accepted Euro-Americans as the leaders, but the fact is now America is a declining power. When America leaves Afghanistan, the whole scenario of the region will change, both in actual terms and projected American power. Third, Americans don't have any interest in solving the Kashmir problem, or they lack capacity of convincing India. Why do we have to see when we have to be flexible and inventive at the same time? Why don't we look towards regional solution involving China? Because China being one of the parties of the dispute by de facto in control of one of the parts of Jammu and Kashmir. So rather than involving America, which is a declining power with declining interest in the region, why don't we invest and explore Chinese interests, given the fact that China is a partner, China is a regional power, a rising power, and also China is a party to the dispute. Thank you.
Thank you.
To compliment you for an element.
Introduce yourself. I know you very well, but
I have introduced Paratanibi Secretary to the comments. Sir, I was pleased to join with my colleagues to compliment your eloquent speech, and you have mentioned different perspectives which are emerging and which have emerged in the past. Sir, you have clearly mentioned that the Kashmir is not an integral part of any of these UN member states. And you have also mentioned the stage for, invited the stage for the settlement. And the word, the connotation you have been using previously in your talks was the flexibility. I would like to be more educated by the meaning of flexibility. What the sort of flexibility you people are the Indian government and the parties and the UN is expecting from the Kashmiris, and who can be the instrumental for staging the platform for the settlement. Thank you.
Shibli Saab's question, because that's
visa studies. Just in the continuation of what we are discussing, you talked about right of self-determination and then the flexibility. So I would like to really know more about it, how you really connect the two, and how you really visualize the flexibility which is acceptable to all three.
how you are going to adjust it?
To respond to Shibli Saab, he used a very important phrase that America is declining. If there was a person no less important than President Clinton, when he made a statement, it was not a statement page, it was just half a line. It took American press more than a year to understand what does he mean when he says is. What does is mean? With due respect, because Shibli Saab is, mashallah, internationally recognized journalist and intellectual. It's a relative term. America is declining. Why I am saying it? I was in OIC. I don't mean OIC. I mean Organization of Islamic Conference. In New York, during General Assembly. Unfortunately, Sati Saab was invited, he could not make it. Professor Shah was invited, he could not make it. Syed Gillani Saab was invited, he could not make it. Mirwais Umar Farooq was invited, he could not make it. I ended up to be the only one from Indian side of Kashmir. Sardar Attique was representing Azad Kashmir. We met with many people. Yes, OIC is not helping us, but at least sometimes they tell you something which is important. Without naming the country, foreign minister of that country, he said, we are with you. वो कहते हैं ना कलिमा भी एक है, सब कुछ एक है. But Washington is important. I'm not talking about 2001, 2002. I'm talking about September of 2010. I met with the ambassador of China in Washington, not today, 7 years back. Then he became the deputy foreign minister of China. Today he is not deputy, but he became the deputy foreign minister. He told me first, why United States is important? Why are you really telling me that you have a role to play? I first thought that he is really trying to track me. He really said 3 times, China, which is sharing the border. That is my response to Shibli Sahab, but I will tell Shibli Sahab, when I said Nelson Mandela, when I said Bishop Desmond Tutu, I did not say that he must be appointed by the United States. I said a person of international standing must be appointed by an international agency, and that is really outside the United States. But let me also give some confidence, including Shibli Sahab, Safi Sahab, Faiz Naqshbandi and others. You should pray for Ambassador Yusuf Bas. He is really having the wealth of information, but his health is not that good. He has told me many times, and try to understand, don't ask me another question, because I still have